a lot of people are still under the irrational notion that the systems that are put in place are for our benefit, which is why for many people it's extremely confusing when they see the strange things that are put in place, the rules and laws, and they say, how can this possibly work? That's stupid. They haven't come to understand that the system is working perfectly as it should. They are just not aware of the end goals of the various systems. Generally, the betterment of the people is the last thing on the mind of the system, as it were. Usually it has to do with coalescing power in certain places. It has to do with maintaining hierarchy, distribution of resources, and generally keeping the population in a state where they act in accordance with the good of a few rather than for themselves or the many at large. I wanted to highlight the point in relation to this. One of the things you'll see if you want to know if indeed the general population is being weakened or an attempt is being made to weaken, what you'll see is that there will be a strange and illogical means of deciding who is allowed to be right and who must be wrong. Now, we generally think that being right and being wrong has to do with establishing truth and reality. And if what is true is being suggested or spoken of, then we must say, oh, that is allowed to be spoken of. And that is what we're going to spend our time discussing. It's hard for me to even explain it. It's such a nuanced thing in that we skip over it. We skip over it in our lives. It was taught to us incidentally under the surface. It's a subconscious thing. We think if this is the thing we're debating, if this is the thing we're allowed to talk about, we talk about what's real and true, right? And we try and find what's real and true. And so obviously we must be allowed to talk about that. And if it's rubbish, if it's nonsense, then some kind of restriction will be put on speaking about that. Not necessarily a formal restriction, but just a normal societal restriction, like, oh, don't talk about that BS, oh, that's nonsense. And it kind of filters things, and it kind of keeps things in check in a very normal and natural way, because everyone is pointed towards the same North Star. We're trying to do better, trying to learn. Even as I say it, clearly that's not the case. That's just the narrative. Yes, we are trying to do things for the betterment of the individual, for the betterment of the population. Those are words, but what do the patterns show? The patterns show the exact opposite of that. So, if we agree on that, then we need to be able to see that, oh, we aren't always allowed to talk about what's true and what's real and what is for the best and the highest and the brightest. We aren't always allowed to discuss what will benefit us. We aren't always allowed to talk about what could be maybe an inconvenient truth, but a truth nonetheless, that even if it has some interim inconveniences, would lead us in the right direction. That's not always obvious to all of us. Perhaps there's a sense of it, but it's not obvious. I know it wasn't for me. But it was very apparent. It's been apparent my whole life. And if you grew up in a restrictive household the way I did, then you too would have not been allowed to do so many things that were right. And you knew they were right. And yet, the iron fist of your family's expectations and the culture and what was demanded of you had precedence. their control and their power held precedence over what was real and true and beneficial for all. If you can see this, take that same pattern and pull it up a few levels within society. And you will see that we live in such a time where that which is good, positive, honest, but ultimately inconvenient to the power structure, to the system, is not allowed to be spoken of. That is wrong. What is wrong? What is wrong is the truth. Within the system, our truth is wrong. It's important. It's important to see this. The highest, most elevated, most beautiful truth that you can spend decades of your life seeking in the system is wrong. So what is right? In a system that is trying to weaken the populace, what would be right? Nonsense, lunacy, superficial things that appear like they would work and benefit, but will be found to have little stability and little strength beneath the surface. Ideas like that will be furthered. People who support those ideas will be championed. And a kind of fervor, a momentum, will be capitalized upon among those people who wish to further those ideas. Why would this be done? This would be done because it's the path of least resistance. If there's already foolish ideas within a populace, then the system only needs to elevate and support those ideas and let the momentum of them take hold. Let that group shame and put down the other group who holds the wisdom. Let the nonsense ideas be elevated and followed by those who are unsavvy, innocent, or perhaps unable to discern or unwilling to. This is what I mean when I say, when a system is trying to weaken its population, you will see that there will be an odd discrepancy, an odd rule around who's allowed to be right and who's allowed to be wrong. And almost always, in its various and myriad forms, the result will be that truth and wisdom and reality will be shamed and shunned and put to bed. Those who espouse the right and the wise will be diminished and discouraged. And those who further that which will bring destruction will be championed. See if you can see this pattern. And if you can, then you will know that the system that is in place does not have our best interests at heart, and probably it never did.